As I continue to play Assassin's Creed Origins for review, I thought it would be a great idea to review every Assassin's Creed game in the franchise. We've already covered the original Assassin's Creed, now we're going to talk about the next 3 games in the franchise that have become known as the Ezio Trilogy. And I am going to cover all 3 games in this video, but I am also going to give them separate scores because when they were initially released, they were released as 3 separate entities. At the end of the original Assassin's Creed, we find Desmond locked up in his cell at Abstergo, presumably left to rot unless more information about pieces of Eden were needed. We also get an early glimpse about another assassin that was interrogated via the Animus in Subject 16. As Assassin's Creed 2 begins, we find Lucy, one of the Animus engineers, breaking into Abstergo to free Desmond. Before they escape, they manage to grab all the data of one of the most legendary assassins in Desmond's history. We found out that she does this because she wants to recruit Desmond into the Assassins and stop the Templars, or Abstergo, from finding all the pieces of Eden. In order to turn Desmond from a normal average Joe, they need to use the Ezio file to train Desmond on how to be an assassin via the bleeding effect. This is where Desmond will learn all of his ancestors' moves by reliving key moments in his life, which will in turn have a lasting effect on his muscle memory. We also meet 2 other members of Team Assassin, with Sean Hastings, who is a historian and analyst, and Rebecca Crane, which is a technician. This all takes place in a secret warehouse where they have set up their own Animus, which is made possible by stolen plans that Lucy was able to obtain while working at Abstergo. Desmond Miles agrees to join them and stop one Vidic, the Abstergo agent that interrogated him. This is where the bulk of our game begins, as the player takes on the role of Ezio Auditore, an assassin during the Italian Renaissance. Ezio is a reckless teenager when we first take control of him, and has gotten into a scuffle with Viera de Pazzi, all because their fathers aren't the best of friends. Ezio's father is a banker, a businessman by day and assassin by night, and is trying to get Francesco de Pazzi placed in jail for conspiracy against the Medici. The Medici are owners of the largest banking system in Florence. This of course backfires, as it seems Uberto Alberti, which is the government official for justice, claim that the entire Auditore family are conspirators and are guilty of treason. All of the men, Giovanni and Ezio's 2 brothers, are hanged. Ezio does kill Alberti, but now a wanted person of interest, he must flee the city. Ezio is able to escape Florence with his mother and his sister Claudia to his Uncle Mario's estate in the country. While at his Uncle Mario's estate, Ezio is trained to become a better fighter and is told the truth about the Brotherhood of Assassins and the Templar Order. The Pazzi family are in fact Templars who want to control all of the banks while they are free to search for secret relics of artifacts of Eden, and they are being led by Rodrigo Borgia, the Grand Master of the Templar Order. As you can already see, the story is much more complex and not as straightforward as before, but yet it is more engaging. The mission structure and gameplay are much improved over the first game as well. Now the missions are structured towards having Ezio learn or obtain new skills and items so that he can accomplish his goals of eliminating all the targets involved in the conspiracy against his family and the Medici. The setting during the Renaissance is amazing as well. We get to see the big, beautifully created churches and architecture of the time. We also get to see carnivals and minstrels, and the game really lending itself to the era. Even though the player's actions are repetitive in nature, it feels less so by how different the missions are presented. Where in the first game you were doing the same 4 mission types over and over, you now have a better context and reward for each thing that you do leading up to the assassination. Also, as a new addition, the game has secret crypts that unlock tomb keys that will later unlock Altair's armor, which is hidden away in a vault below Mario's mansion. Ezio becomes friends with Leonardo da Vinci, who as an artist and a scientist is able to decipher collected codex pages and reveal where the pieces of Eden are hidden. Leonardo is also able to construct better weapon upgrades for Ezio. By the end of the game, Rodrigo Borgia, the Templar Grand Master, has enough status that he has become the Pope, and when we finally see him bested by Ezio, we see some real answers to the universe we've been playing with, as we learn that there were a precursor advanced civilization before ours that wiped itself out, and that an impending doom is fixing to once again happen to the present day world. The game is truly one of those must-play games that I hold in the highest regard. Assassin's Creed 2 gets a 10 out of 10, bringing the first in the franchise to get a legendary status. In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, we find that Rodrigo Borgia, who is now known as Pope Alexander VI, is still alive. Ezio lets him live and leaves him alive, as he now ponders on what is revealed to him in the Vatican Vault. He has a realization of grander scheme in place as he and Mario flee back to his countryside home. However, the next day, the mansion is besieged by Caesar Borgia, son of Rodrigo. Mario is killed, and the apple that was obtained is now lost. The game is more of the same, with Ezio trying to get the Apple of Eden back and cripple the Borgia clan for good, again re-establishing friendships with Leonardo da Vinci, a great reward system, the same great gameplay from Assassin's Creed 2. At the end of the game, we find Desmond and crew using the information they obtained during Ezio's adventure to find the apple in present day. They track down the apple, and Desmond touches it, and all of a sudden time becomes frozen around him. Juno, who is a member of a precursor civilization, cryptically states that Desmond is a descendant from her race, but is also their enemy. She also says there is a woman who would accompany him through the gate, but must not be allowed to. She takes control of Desmond's body and forces him to stab Lucy in the abdomen. Both fall to the ground, and Lucy Stillman dies. Desmond goes into a coma. As the credits roll, we hear two guys talking about or discussing whether to put Desmond back into the Animus. This game did a lot of things well. It expanded on the universe, but it felt more like an expansion rather than a true sequel. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood gets an 8 out of 10. Finally, let's talk about Assassin's Creed Revelations. At the beginning of the game, Desmond is still in a coma. Sean Hastings stays behind to attend Lucy's funeral, but Rebecca Crane takes Desmond to New York to meet with his father, William, in the hopes that they can save his mind. They decide to place Desmond back into the Animus, but put the machine in safe mode, so when Desmond wakes up, he's actually on an island, and here he is greeted by Subject 16. Subject 16 tells Desmond that in order to get out of the Animus, he must see what Ezio has left to show him. As he enters the memory portal, we are thrown back into the world of Ezio. Now we find Ezio traveling to Masyaf, where the Order of Assassins resided during the Third Crusade and during the original game. Ezio finds that Masyaf has been overran by Templars, who have now marked him for death. The whole idea here is to have Ezio on a quest to better understand the Assassin Order, the Templars, and the Piece of Eden, so that he can make better sense of the visions that he has seen. Ezio is a much older and seasoned man during the events of Revelations, and through Ezio's investigations, we find more answers to Altair post Assassin's Creed 1. We find Altair as leader of the Assassins and his war against Abbas, the son of Al-Mualim, after a coup d'etat. But the bulk of the game will obviously revolve around a family feud between Prince Ahmed and the brother Salim, which is speared on by the Templars. We see some fun love interest in the game, and it's okay as a whole. Again, it feels like an expansion with subtle changes. At the end of the game, we find Altair's library and vault, which has Altair's Apple of Eden, and Altair himself. Apparently, Altair has shut himself in the vault to keep the artifact hidden from the Templars. Ezio doesn't take the apple, though. Instead, he starts speaking directly to Desmond and says, "I have seen enough for one lifetime." He has become to realize that he is nothing more than a conduit for Desmond, and hopes that Desmond has enough answers to the questions that himself and Altair had worked so hard to uncover. This was a great send-off for Ezio to live out the rest of his days with the love interest Sophia in peace and quiet. Back on Animus Island, Desmond then talks to Jupiter, who gives more information on how to stop their world from being destroyed by a cataclysmic event. Jupiter is also one of the precursor beings, but she tends to have more hope for mankind than Juno. Desmond awakes from his coma knowing what he must do, and the game ends with Desmond revealing this to Rebecca, Sean, and his father William. As I mentioned before, this feels more like an expansion with more setup and build towards the next numbered entry. Revelations gets an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the Ezio Trilogy. Ezio probably is my favorite of the assassins, but to be fair, he got 3 games totally centered around him. What are your thoughts? Who is your favorite assassin in the franchise? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like on the video so others may find it, and if you're new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button. Remember guys that I love your face, and I'll see you next time as I review Assassin's Creed 3, but until then, have a good one.